No, don't drink the sugar. Don't do very. You gotta add water. All right. So once you got the sugar packet in the glass, I'll wait till everybody catches up. Just a little bit of water. And if you don't like bourbon, add a little more water. So once you have the water and the sugar together, just swirl it around in the glass until you see it dissolve. If you look at your recipe card, it did say place ice ball, then the bourbon and the bitters, but because that ice ball is freaking huge, go ahead and add a dash of bitters or your little dropper. Go ahead and add that to the sugar in the water mixture.
I'm gonna have some of those.
Oh, yeah.
I missed that. Was that vermouth?
The bitters.
Bitters.
And you're thinking just a drop or two? I mean, what's a dash in the context of this thing?
So if you have your eyedropper, push it twice.
But how full?
About all the way full. You should, once it's in there, just press it down a couple of times. It takes a couple to suck it up sometimes, and then about 2 droppers.
Yep, that's
a dropper and a half.
Okay.
And also, if anybody didn't know, bitters also is 78 proof. There's actually alcohol in that thing, which I don't ever recommend drinking by itself because it does not taste very well.
So
Kind of bitter, honestly.
Yeah, it's very bitter. I don't know where the name came
full
from.
eyedroppers? Is that what we're doing?
Yep.
Yeah, 2 full eyedroppers.
Full. So
Or,
like,
yeah, like that.
all right.
Or
As
one
full
and a
as you-
half, as somebody on the other side said.
Okay.
I went conservative. I went with slightly less than 1. I can always add bitters. You cannot take them away.
Oh,
Very
Matt.
true.
Bitter. Bitter.
All right, now add, once you've got that mixture and you swirl the 3 of those together, the water, the sugar, and the bitters, go ahead and add your ice ball.
Oh, you want,
And then the bitter goes over.
what would you like?
Ice ball?
You want one of my balls?
Oh, I knew that was,
You had to say it.
God almighty.
Good, Drew.
Oh, geez. That was a good one.
That's good, Drew.
Ooh,
That's a big ice ball.
I'm tall.
We're gonna leave that alone. All right, now, once you got your ice ball, add 1.5 ounces of bourbon and just plate and pour it right over top of the ice ball. Not on the side of the glass, but right over top.
How many counts is that? Because I don't have a shot glass. 1, 2.
As many as counts as you want, Libby.
You can't get this part of it done. You can't get this part of it wrong.
8, 9, 10.
He can never get that wrong.
What year is this?
1910, the year I was born.
I was gonna say.
Apparently.
Well, no, you were what? 1914?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
I'm getting pretty old.
So you were just a pup.
Spring pup.
This is when you count, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. And now it's time to count the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
All right, so those that don't like the taste of bourbon, I highly recommend adding, some cherry juice to the old fashioned. Kind of dulls it down a little bit. Completely up to you. I think everybody's got a little 2-ounce cup with 2 cherries and some juice in it.
Save some of the juice for the Manhattan.
Yeah,
though, for
save a
sure.
little juice for the Manhattan. But if you don't mind the taste of bourbon and enjoy it, I recommend don't put cherry juice in there. Just go ahead and drop your cherry in there.
Put a cherry in a.
Drop the cherry right in the glass.
Okay. See, I've never made one before.
Got my gloves on, being safety first.
I want to know who can tie a knot in their cherry stem with their tongue.
This isn't the place for that.
No, a friend of mine does that. A friend of mine does that all the time. She can do that. It's just like crazy.
All right, so then go ahead and swirl it around the glass a little bit, even though you're not going to get much movement because that ice ball covers a lot of the glass. But go ahead and take a sip. And if you take the sip and you don't like it's too bitter, it's too strong for you, you can always add a little sugar, a little, if you're crazy enough, a little more bitters to it, or add more water. It'll dilute it down.
That's good.
Oh, they're very dangerous.
I have had-
That was old fashioned.
Yeah,
That is an old fashioned.
I would, Mike makes the best old fashions at Heritage Golf Club. I've had them or two.
Yeah, I love making old fashions. They're my favorite drink.
And it kind of goes both ways. Mike is anti-orange. Some people like an orange for a garnish, but a lot of places do use an orange peel for a garnish with an old fashioned as well.
So the original old fashioned was in 1862, which I don't know if anybody was alive then now. They didn't do an orange, they did a cherry. They did ice cubes. They just added a little warm water to it to melt the cube down, and then that's when they added the other ingredients to it. When you see people muddling an old fashioned or muddling any of these other drinks on here, that's something that's changed over time. So a traditional old fashioned was just literally a little warm water with a sugar cube just to melt it down, and then that's when they added the bourbon and the bitters.
Hey, Jen,
Which in 1880 is when it was actually published in an actual bar manual, or bar Bible is what they called back then, is when they started to change and alter an old fashioned. So if you go through history, in 1895, it was published in the US that there was the first official old fashioned that was for all bartenders to follow, was an old fashioned. And then not until the 1930s when they started muddling things. And then over the course of time now, you can actually go to Watershed and buy an old fashioned that's already made. You literally just pour it over ice, add a cherry or an orange, and you have supposedly a perfect old fashioned. I still think it's a little stronger, but Watershed does a really good job with an old fashioned in a bottle. They're hard to find, but if you ever see one, and I don't work for Watershed, trust me, grab a bottle and take it home and try it. It's very unique. It's a little different. But it is.
Mark's showing it, and his Mark Everly's showing it.
What's that?
Mark is showing his bottle of old fashioned Watershed Distillery. Yeah, his
it's
bottle. Good.
Yeah, so everything you just made it with, you didn't need to put in there. You just doubled it. Which might not be a bad thing either.
That's good. I like
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Sir.
Cheers, friends.
So I know that when we go to the next drink, obviously I don't want you to chug these, but you are safely at home, hopefully. So except for Bobby and me and Drew and Libby. Libby's in Kentucky in a B&B right
Was
now.
I supposed to finish it already?
Jesus, dude, that was quick. Anyways.
Gotcha.
Oh, you're funny. So we'll do like a 2 or 3 minute in between when you get through this drink, or if you want to chug it, completely up to you. Wash your glass, or if you have extra glasses. In between, we'll do a little bit of trivia.
And jokes.
And Libby's got jokes. Drew's got a couple. Well, just one.
when do we eat?
Oh yeah, I thought sitting here was the joke.
Oh, yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. So the trivia, the main prize is going to be a bourbon sampling at Heritage with me and you and anybody that you want to bring, one other person. I don't care who it is. But we'll sample 3 bourbons and have dinner. So once we're done, we draw your name, or whoever gets the question right. However Libby wants to do this is fine with me. All you got to do is just give me an email or Drew, and we'll set a time for you. Preferably Mondays we're closed, so don't pick Monday, please.
No one wants to come there Monday. Great.
Or during happy hour, because I'll be somewhere else. Thank you. But the 3 bourbons, I'll give you a choice of the bourbons to choose from. Preferably like Old Crow, Old Ancient, you know, the high-end stuff.
Awful.
Oh, absolutely.
Julie, how do you like that? How do you like that Basil Hayden?
It's really smooth. It's really good.
No, right?
Sean's like, we don't even spend that much on our bourbon when we buy it regularly. I'm like, this is a special occasion.
You gotta splurge.
That's right. He's observed.
So Drew's going to pop on some facts about bourbon.
Yeah, just while you guys enjoy that drink, just if you want to learn a couple things, because obviously, some people know exactly what it is or where it comes from. The conventional wisdom is it has to come from Kentucky. Bourbon itself actually does not. It almost always does right now. It's like 95% of the distilleries are in Kentucky right now. But it's one fact is it does have to come from the United States. They passed it in, 1964. Congress made it America's a product distinct to the United States. So for that reason, other countries, if they were try to make bourbon, different places, they're allowed to put whatever they want on as far as labeling and trademarks and stuff, but it is not allowed to be imported into the United States as bourbon. Bourbon cannot come from Canada. It can't come from China, no matter what. At that point, it would effectively be whiskey or some kind of blend of that. Also, Canada does the same thing. They recognize it is ours. So you're not allowed to make bourbon in Canada. You can't sell it on the shelf as bourbon unless it comes from the United States. It's got to be 51% corn as well, as far as the grain mix. It also has different proofing standards. Has to be between 80 proof and 160 proof. If it's outside of that, it's not allowed to be on the shelf as bourbon. They will not let you sell it or market it that way. It's got to be made in what are they? White oak, the charred white oak barrels, and they have to be new. They can't be reused. So a lot of those barrels, when they're done with them, they sell them, for that's where you get your beer, your bourbon barrel beers. Breweries buy those up because they can actually use them for a second time. Anybody making bourbon has no purpose for it, other than like the Jack Daniels. They're doing the whole like devil's cut thing, because a bourbon barrel, when it's done, depending on how long it aged, the wood itself, after they dumped all the bourbon out, will have approximately on average 2 to 3 gallons of bourbon inside of that wood. Is just in the fibers of the wood. It is just soaked in there so hard. There's about 2 to 3 gallons.
So could you make a chew toy out of that for an adult?
Oh, I love chewing on it. That's great. The splinters are bad, but it's delicious.
I feel like I'm watching a Saturday Night Live skit.
Hey, there is a question out here, gentlemen. It says, what flavor are the bitters?
These are just
Aromatic. So this is just straight up bitter. So there are currently, that I'm aware of, that I can purchase, there's 20 different bitters.
Bobby, do you have the chocolate bitters?
Bobby's showing the bitter truth. So aromatic bitters. So write that down, Amy Elsie. Anybody else bitter? And can you find that at Kroger, Giant Eagle? Where can you find that?
You can find that in Kroger's, Giant Eagle. If you go to your local liquor store, they'll have different flavors. The one that we're using is what Bobby was showing, was the bitter truth. They have what we currently have at the club. We have 4 different flavors. So we have a chocolate, we have a Cajun, we have a bitter, and an extra bitter. I do not recommend ever getting an extra bitter because it's
bitter.
It's way better than the bitter, if that makes any better sense.
It's better.
But the
how
Cajun,
many bitters got a better?
If you like a little bit of spice in your drinks, the Cajun bitters and an old fashioned, yes, it sounds a little odd. It actually is really, really good. Like I said, eat the pepper jack cheese, open up the porch. You're literally drinking an old fashioned, little Cajun in there. That you don't have to eat the cheese, but if you have to have something in your stomach to help soak up the old fashioned, I would eat the cheese. Just saying.
And they have orange bitters. There's a ton of different flavors. Orange bitters accompany these sometimes. Just the people that do garnish with an orange, a lot of times we'll use orange bitters just to really bring out the oils and the flavors from that orange peel.
Some use triple sec as well if they don't have bitters. Some of the local, I call them hole in the walls, they'll use triple sec instead of bitters. So is everybody about done drinking the first one?
Yes, sir.
Look at all those empty glasses.
Well, wait, first I want to ask Jill Gershitz and Tony, because they're not big bourbon drinkers yet. They're gin drinkers. So how did you like your first bourbon? How did you like that old fashioned? I mean, yeah, old fashioned.
It was okay.
What was wrong with it?
Honesty.
I don't know. I'm just not like a whiskey or bourbon drinker.
Yeah. Oh, just wait. You still have 3 more to go.
Our gin, though, we're gin drinkers.
Hey,
So.
When you get to the 4th bourbon, you'll get better. 3, hopefully. Well, by the time you get to the 4th one.
I was over at Heritage today picking up my thing because Libby had me on assignment for a new member, and I went by the bar to pick up my kit, and I was looking at the script from today's session. So what Michael has over there. And the very first origin of one of these drinks, I think is the old fashioned, was made with gin.
I think it was the old fashioned. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you
So
go.
Joe-
Joe.
It was Holland gin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was with a lemon peel too. I mean, at that point, a lemon and gin.
Ew, that sounds horrible.
So
I mean, sounds amazing.
our question for all bourbon drinkers is I'm assuming you didn't all just love it after the first drink, kind of like
No.
wine, all of that. So it's kind of like when you become a wine drinker, you're usually drinking that
Sweet stuff.
sweet stuff, nasty now. But then that was like what you transitioned. So what helped to transition you to enjoy it?
For me and for other people at the club, and they're like, I don't like a lot of bourbon. I always tell people, add a little water to it, or, you add some ice, let it sit for a second, let it dissolve a little bit. And it slows down the fact that it burns. And a lot of people don't like when they drink the bourbon, they get that burn going down their throat, all the pit of their stomach. Add some water to it, and eventually just get to the point where you slowly don't add so much water to it. Or if you want to sweeten it up like an old fashioned, the more sugar, the more cherry juice or cherries you add to it, it's just like drinking a margarita. You make a good one, you don't taste the tequila, and you end up liking it. And then eventually you get to the point where you don't want the sweet and sour, you just want tequila on ice.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of time. Like I didn't like IPAs when I was younger, which a long time ago. But now that's all I drink are IPAs. I can't drink nothing but something that's bitter and triple and double IPAs. I love them. And a lot of people in the world don't like them. It takes tolerance and, just go out there and try different things. I will tell you that cheaper the bourbon, the bigger the burn. So, Old Crows of the world, or, you go to a hole in the wall bar and it's, they make you a bourbon neat and it's $2. There's a reason why it was $2. It's probably Kessler's, which is like basically rock gut. And also, the more expensive bourbon doesn't mean it's always better. It's your profile. Some people like the oakiness to it. I love the Old Forester that we're drinking in 1910. It's pretty damn oaky, and I enjoy it. I love it. A go-to bourbon that's every day that doesn't have much burn to it, you can find everywhere, is Redemption Bourbon. That was our well at the club. It's an all-around everyday good drinking bourbon. You can find it at Kroger's, Giant Eagle, and it's not very expensive. Right now, Weller's Green is our well at the club, and it's a good bourbon. It just depends on what your taste profile is. You'll figure it out after about 10 bottles, hopefully.
Weller's Green. Where did that Weller's Green come from? I feel like we needed that Weller's Green for something.
Oh yeah, we did have an event. Oh damn it, darn it.
You probably have a lot of it.
Actually, no, we're down to about 6 bottles.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad somebody else could use it versus our group.
Our members are enjoying Weller's Green as a well right now.
And you're
They are
welcome.
in heaven.
And you're welcome.
And if you find Weller's Green, it's $1 less than what Jim Beam is, if you can find a Weller's Green. And everybody knows
Giant
Jim
Eagle
Beam's-
had it. Giant Eagle had it last week. It's wheat. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, and people go by names most of the time, unfortunately, but Weller's is a good bourbon. The antique is double in price, which is the red. The red is very good. If you can get a Weller's Black or a Weller's 12, which you'll never see in Ohio because we're a controlled state and it sucks. I said that out loud. But it's unfortunately we're restricted on a lot of things that we get or what's coming in or what's allowed to come in. So, you go to a lot of bars and a lot of bars will have Blanton's. They'll have, everybody talks about Pappy. Unfortunately, in Ohio, they're allocated so many that are allowed to come in here. In places like us. What's that?
He's got them all. You just name it, he holds it up.
Yeah, Matt's got everything. And probably Mark does too.
This guy's show
And Mike.
over there. What's your address?
It's all right. Libby said she's taking us over there for the after party. When she gets back from Kentucky, she's going to pick us up and we're going.
We're going?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, Matt,
Maybe
that's a
start
nice
driving.
bar. Nice bar, buddy.
Yeah, it's like an old like Nantucket house. Check it out.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Nice.
definitely going to your house.
Yeah, you guys are welcome to come over.
We already heard that.
Your bourbon kills all COVID. This is my latest edition. It's a Willet Rye. This stuff's amazing. I just got it in Kentucky last week. And you guys may have heard of the Willet pot still.
Wait, show us a bottle. Oh, that bottle's a good bottle.
Yeah, it's like a
It's a
bourbon.
genie bottle. It's a genie bottle.
It's a genie bottle.
Let's rub this up.
Hey, Bobby, we're gonna be sick tomorrow. Just to let you know.
Coming to my house.
I can't make it.
Have fun running the dining room.
The next one of these is at my place.
We're all good. Well, yeah, I'm fine with that. Me and
Okay,
Drew will be over.
Next drink.
All right, so next one is a Manhattan. Has anybody not had a Manhattan before?
Come on, Jill, raise your hand. Oh, you had one, Jill?
Sorry, I was yelling at my daughter. What I forgot the
Have you ever had a Manhattan?
No.
So there we go. Now you're not going to be a virgin any longer. There we go.
Oh,
Can I ask a
Lord.
question? Do we have to rinse out our glasses or can we?
Yes, I would clean your glass.
That
Okay,
information was yesterday, but that's okay.
sorry. Too many people.
Send it to Bobby for weather while they clean out.
You deserve it. You deserve it, Stacy.
When
Well,
do
I'll
we
give you
eat
a
our
little history
snack?
on Manhattans. Says anybody knows supposedly where the Manhattan started?
In New York.
Wow, intelligent.
Touchdown.
So the rumor is, and this is the history that I go online and check out the history on certain drinks just because you hear a lot of different stories. So this one in 1882, Lady Randolph Churchill, Winston Churchill's mom, supposedly was in this bar called the Turf Club, and she supposedly invented this while she was pregnant with Winston Churchill. Maybe that's why he's the way he was. I don't know. But then there's also on the same history page, it also says that she was home in England and couldn't have been her. So it's, I mean, everything's on Google and Facebook. Everything's, real that's posted on there. So that's the history behind the Manhattan. And there's probably about 15 different ways to make a Manhattan. The Manhattan we're making today is what they call a traditional one. So when everybody's ready, all you got to do is put your ice ball in your glass and then stop at that point.
Done.
Ball me. Ball. So when you're making Manhattan, the traditional one, which is based off of the 1880s, is that you take all your ingredients and pour it directly over top of the ice. So we're going to take 1.5 parts bourbon, or 1.5 ounces.
1, 2, 3, 4. That's when you stop.
1, 2, 3, 5, 9. Got it. Oh, sorry, childproof ladder.
I can't figure this. Yep, it's over there.
Is this one?
Yep.
It's not labeled. I don't know these things.
Oh my gosh.
That's why it
the
says
only
don't-
thing you wouldn't be able to read it if it was labeled over there, Squints.
It's not my. That's just rude. I don't like you.
Fire.
That's why it says don't drink on the side of a bleach because of your generation. Oh wait, sorry, that was rude. So you're gonna do a 1/2 part sweet vermouth, which is 1/2 ounce, or if you take your dropper, fill it halfway.
Half? There's a lot of
It's
vermouth.
It's more than that.
There's a lot of vermouth in that little.
Well, we didn't want anybody to run out. I mean,
Okay.
you might like do shots on the side. We don't know. We're not judging.
It's
We could do
four-
more later.
four-
We could do more
It's about
later.
4 droppers.
And vermouth, typically it's 15 proof on most vermouths.
Okay.
All right, now this is where you take the cherry juice that was in that little 2-ounce cup. Take that cherry juice over top of the ice and then drop your cherry. Some Manhattans will tell you to muddle the cherry, which is absolutely, in my opinion, not right. You mix, the way you mix that is just take your glass and rotate your glass around the ice.
So one thing, when I've been to a not Heritage, a different bar, they put bitters in my Manhattan, which I didn't care for at all. So is
That-
that something that some people do?
No,
Mixing up an old fashioned and a Manhattan.
Yeah, it was awful. He had to make me a new one because I was, I'm gonna do it. Ugh. Yeah.
as long as I've been doing this, I've never seen bitters in a Manhattan, but again, it's, over the years, things change. People do a lot of different things.
Well, it was at La Scala and they're no longer in business. So
Well, there's the reason they put bitters in Manhattans.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
It was horrible.
Ugh, I'm talking about those cherries used to get. What? The cherries used to get. What were those called? Because there's like the different cherries.
These right here.
You know what I'm talking about? God. Yes. I
Oh,
can't think of the freaking word.
Losardo. Those are
Yes,
the
thank
best.
you.
So Losardo cherries, when you get regular house cherries, or you go to Dairy Queen, get a cherry on there,
Maraschino.
those things for like a gallon are like $5. You get Losardo cherries, times that by 20.
Oh.
They are aged cherries.
$20.
Yeah.
They
They're-
are amazing.
They're the best cherries ever.
Now,
Oh
if you
my God,
go
they're great.
online, Woodford makes a Luxardo cherry with actual Woodford with the cherry, and it's like a jam almost with the Woodford mixed in there. And you add that to a Manhattan or an old fashioned, it makes it even better. But you're also paying a pretty prime price for that.
Now, some of you may have a spiked cherries that you may have gotten in your wine kit.
That's what
So
we got.
exactly, the spiked
Right
cherries
there.
you may also purchase.
Yes,
Did
you
you
can
say a
get
half
those. As well.
dropper of vermouth, or was it multiple vermouth? Multiple droppers.
Oh, I did 3. I got 3 full ones to get to about my ½ ounce.
Okay, 3 full ones. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I
Luckily,
thought it was, oh.
I have the measure here. So that helps a little bit.
So what kind of vermouth? Because there's different vermouths out there. There's
It's
Martini and
sweet
Ross.
vermouth.
I understand, but there's
Oh.
Martini and Rossi. There's, I can't remember the other brands of,
There's
is there
a-
preference to the sweet vermouth?
No, there is no difference whatsoever. I think they all taste the same. And any recipe I've ever seen, or you go to most different, no one has a name. It just says vermouth, sweet or dry.
Right, don't
Um,
get the dry.
And most are anywhere from 12.5 to 15%. So
Well, and then they have like what's technically a perfect Manhattan is actually equal parts sweet and dry vermouth. They cut it in half and you do a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Again, just different variations. The way they make a perfect margarita by throwing triple sec in it.
So I think we need to ask Jill and Tony what they think about their Manhattan.
I don't think it's bad. No.
That bad?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not sweet. The only sweetness really comes from the cherry and a little bit of vermouth compared to the old fashioned. You're at least getting a whole sugar packet in there. So it's definitely going to be the sweeter of the two. So somebody that doesn't like bourbon as much definitely would lean old fashioned.
Yeah, I think I was in utero with Manhattans because my parents drank them a lot. So my parents just like, hello, Manhattan, when I came out. Yeah.
yeah, mine drank Bush Light, but that's a different story. Yeah, me over the two, I always pick an old fashioned. I just think they're sweeter and easier to drink.
Well, you know what? I've always liked bourbon, but ever since my kids were born, I have learned to love it.
It's a stress reliever, isn't it?
Exactly, Bobby. But I have some board members on the call with me right now, and I just want to share, I shared with Jill earlier. I'm not sure what happened. This is why I'm going to be drinking tonight, because I got a notification from ODJFS that I'm asking for unemployment wages from the Chamber of Commerce. So I'm not quite sure what happened in executive session that I may not have known about, but just letting you know that I'm hoping that it was a joke, or I'm one of those people that got a fake one.
Yeah, Libby, same thing happened to me. I own my company and apparently I'm applying for unemployment insurance.
Mhm.
And I talked to my accountant and he's like, yeah, fraud's going around left and right. He sent me a website where you can kind of take a picture of the things and send it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Stacy, do you have a comment?
I was gonna say, it happened to me too, that somebody filed for it for me. But the real reason I'm chiming in is we have a rule over here that anybody talks about their job or work stuff, they have to do a shot of Fireball. So you need to do a shot of whatever's in front of you, because there's no work talk tonight, folks.
Let's all hear that for Stacy, right?
Where's your shot, Libby?
I just took it.
Just checking, because I got some spiked cherries right here. You're more than welcome to eat a half a jar if you want.
If when I come back from Kentucky, I might have to have one. Change my background though. Okay, so we're just still enjoying. So what about this other food that's in our plates here, gentlemen?
So there's a smoked Gouda, and smoked Gouda just honestly just tastes really good with bourbon, in my opinion. Then you also have hummus. which is house made at the club. And the crackers are different variations of crackers, but it's basically just to clean the palate off a little bit. And also put something in your stomach to soak up the bourbon. And the different meats that are in there, there's, I know some people got different variations than others. Most of it was, there was a capicola, there was ham. Chef put some pepperoni was in a couple of them. The salami. It's just basically just to clean up the palate a little bit, get something in your stomach so you can enjoy these bourbons. Because once we get to the Moscow Mule, then we go to neat or with an ice ball. It's your choice. If you're not a big bourbon drinker, I would say definitely just do the bourbon right over top of the ice. Neat is an acquired, in my opinion, is an acquired taste to do it straight up right out of the bottle. I prefer it that way. Completely up to you, but just enjoy the little tiny snacks in between the drinks, just to clean up the palate just a little bit. Drew's going to go into a little bit of more history of the bourbons.
Yeah. Take a break. Just more, like I said, pretty much random facts about bourbon. I don't know if everyone knows this. Bourbon, when it goes to be made, before it goes into a barrel, it is clear. It no distinguishable from moonshine or vodka or anything like that. The entire reason bourbon is the color it is those oak barrels that it gets put into. It sucks out the color from that as it ages in those barrels. That's where it gets its dark, rich color. The more it's aged, the more it's going to pull out, obviously. Now, some places do add some additives as far as like coloring and stuff like that, but they can't add a ton because, like I said, it has to meet those standards that the U.S. laid out as far as it has to be 51% corn and this and that. But that is where you'll see some people see, well, what's straight bourbon versus that just says bourbon? How's it different? Straight bourbon cannot have any of those additives or anything like that. It's coming straight out of that barrel. At the proofage they need, at most, they would add some water to dilute it down to the proper proof. But other than that, it has no other ingredients, no additives, anything like that. Let's see what else. Oh, also, when they age a barrel, a lot of times you'll see single barrel. Now, first off, a single barrel batch, if you get something select, a lot of times they put them out at special times of the year. It is what it says. All of that bourbon came from one singular barrel. Whereas most of the time, like your regular, Maker's Mark, they're dumping hundreds of barrels into a batch. Now, it's all straight out of those barrels as well, but it's mixing a bunch of different barrels together so they can find the right proofage that they want, so it comes out the same proof every time. But when they do put a year on it, for instance, it says aged 12 years or 15 years or 8 years, whatever barrels they put together to make that batch, the age is only allowed to be the very youngest of those barrels. So they can't take one 12-year aged barrel and combine it with a bunch of 4s and slap a 12 on it and act like it's been sitting there the whole time. It would be considered 4-year and they'd just be wasting that 12. They have to put them all, whatever the youngest age of a barrel in the mixture in, that's the age that it is.
All right, you ready for a trivia question? This is for the bourbon sampling and dinner. Is everybody ready?
You have to unmute everyone probably.
Well, yeah, everybody unmute yourself if you want to participate. If you want to win, if you want to be a winner.
Yeah, if you want to win, raise your hand. Do not yell out loud because there's too many of you on the screen. And
correct. And I'm not eligible, but I am eligible to be the +1 when you win this.
There you go. Okay, so it's a little tricky, but what's the world's oldest operating bourbon whiskey distillery
Jack
in the
Daniels.
United States?
I heard Jack.
Mike said Jack Daniels. Is that correct?
No, you got to raise your hand.
Yeah, raise your hand. Okay, Matt.
Stitzel Weller.
Nope.
Julie?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Beam, isn't it?
It's the oldest operating. It's tricky.
Okay.
Okay, raise a hand. I will call on you.
Go ahead and Google. I know everybody's looking.
Matt.
I'll try another one. And if I'm wrong, I have a very quick story about it. Elijah Craig.
Nope.
Okay, we'll wait for
Mike, I think you told me when I picked my
Makers?
stuff up. I can't remember.
wait.
Yeah.
If you raise your
Maker's
hand, I'll
60.
call on you. Okay, Mark.
Buffalo Trace.
No. You would assume.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Maker's Mark.
Right.
Yes.
Who was that?
Wow.
Who said that? Raise your hand. Mike? Mike McLeod. Well, I know
Yep.
I'm not your plus one. You got a great wife.
So it's been recognized since 1805. And it's a National Historic Landmark for the oldest operating. Now, when you said Buffalo Trace was the only one allowed to operate during Prohibition because they were allowed to use it as medicinal purposes. You can actually get a prescription for it, but the oldest operating, so it never.
Yeah, Mike.
We're going for the signature on that.
There you go, 46.
No, the actual signature.
Oh, yeah, he does have a signature on the glass bottle.
Sorry.
Man.
Nice.
Yeah, Mike
Spoiled.
can't see. He doesn't have his glasses on. He's too far away from his screen.
Yeah, and if I put them on, it makes it worse. It's weird.
So, Mike, you have won dinner for two with your lovely wife, Rita. If those of you who had any children go through Weaver Middle School, Rita is she's a master there and a friend to all. And I know exactly. I'm shouting her out. She was before you guys were married, it was just she's phenomenal. So anyway,
she's a saint because she lives with Mike.
this is true. Thanks, Mark. But anyway, so contact myself and then I will
Thanks,
get you in
Mark.
contact with Heritage Golf Club for your bourbon dinner and so forth like that. So congratulations.
Yeah, and the Guinness Book of World Records is where I got the information from, and that's what they say is the oldest running bourbon distillery is by Guinness Book of World Records, which.
Perfect. Okay, so you know what? I guess I've cut back on my drinking. Time was I'd buy a half of a gallon of bourbon and get drunk 4 times. So now I buy a half a gallon and just get drunk twice.
That's a lot of math.
Thanks, Mike.
You
I
welcome.
was told there'd be no math.
There's no talk about office.
Yeah, we tricked you.
Thank
All
you.
right, so we'll get ready now for the
Okay.
Moscow Mule, or there's different versions. Today we're doing the Kentucky Bourbon Mule.
Okay.
Um,
So Mike, do we need to then have people cut their limes that we all got a
Yep,
big lime?
go ahead and cut the lime, bite on the lime, whatever you want to do.
I'm bringing my lime out from Kentucky.
Do we need another ball?
Am I going to be in trouble?
You can do a ball on this, or you can do, if you've got crushed ice in the house, you can do it that way as well.
So should I rinse this down?
Just don't cut your finger, Drew.
Oh, it's workers' comp.
You didn't need
This is not
you didn't need all
workers'
that. You got 9 others.
I caught you out when you left.
So Mike, you said this was medicinal purposes some time ago. How do we get a prescription now for hybrid learning, for all the other stuff going on?
Maybe a Facebook doctor?
That'll work. That'll work.
Yeah, they used to prescribe that for people that had insomnia, people that had aches and pains. It was like, I'd love to have lived back then because that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Because you could drink on the job and get away with it because you had a prescription.
Love it.
I do. I have a prescription.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Right.
It's called a membership to Heritage.
This is true. So I have this outfit at home. I've got my Blanton's bottle and I have all of my horses in a row. They're all galloping. And if you've never been to Churchill Downs and gone to their museum, it is phenomenal. It is. They have a 360 room where the horse. It was the best tour ever. Was to go down there. So do that on your when you go to Louisville.
All right, is everybody ready to make a mule, or are we washing glasses?
Right? Is everybody back? I think everybody's back. So Stacy's getting back. You go, what? You said my name. Okay, Stacy, we're doing the Moscow Mule now, or the Bourbon Mule. Got it. Okay. Forward.
All right, does everybody have a copper mug?
No. Some of you got fancy on us. Didn't happen.
So it's recommended a copper mug, and there's a story behind it. But Libby, do you want me to email you one from here to Kentucky?
You know, let me go find one. Yeah.
Or Chick-fil-A, but you don't want Chick-fil-A.
That was loud.
Oh, my goodness.
Wait a minute.
And she's fast.
That's the fastest flight I've ever seen.
Jesus. All right, so if everybody's got their glass or copper mug, take your lime that you have cut, squeeze the lime into your glass or your mug.
Don't muddle it, just squeeze it.
Yeah, this is a traditional bourbon mule that was. There's versions of this been around since the 1940s. The original ones, they did not muddle anything. Over time, obviously, we change things and we muddle. Now, once you squeezed it, add your bourbon, which is 2 ounces of bourbon, or some places will say a 2-finger pour. Easy way to measure that is take your 2 fingers, put it on the bottom of the glass, and stop pouring when it's at the top of your first finger. It's an easy way to pour, or it's called a country club pour.
Not
Which
this
country
club.
clubs we use 3, not 2.
That would,
Now, once you've got that, now you're going to add 4 ounces of ginger beer, which you can just do an easy count of 1, 2, 3, 4.
that's when you start to count the pour.
Or depends on how slow you count or how fast you count.
I didn't get a ginger beer. Oh, well. I guess I'll just drink it like this.
You don't have your ginger beer? Fail.
You didn't provide the ginger beer. What's going on?
We said you had to purchase
Said,
that.
you know.
That was in our direction.
Now you
I
add your
got it.
ice.
Be right back.
Listen, if you expect us to read, expectations are too high.
Hey, we're all 1-syllable words.
Libby,
I can
I
only
know
do-
your audience.
I can only help you so much.
And then you add a lime wheel to the top of the glass or the mug.
Oh, wait, I might have some ginger beer.
So then you just put it on the, because it's fancy.
Cheers.
That's it? You don't put any ice in it?
No, I said see, you were talking, you weren't listening. Add the ice, add a lime wheel.
I got it.
Oh,
There
Kentucky
you
has
go.
ice.
Libby, look.
Look at that.
Oh, look at that. There you go, Matt Burt.
It's got everything.
Just when I thought the drinking was over.
So you got, okay, I got Kroger ginger beer. I got a generic ginger
So-
beer.
Another side little note, what was it before, what's the original liquor that you put in a mule?
Rum.
Tequila.
Vodka.
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 Vodka got replaced because every state does it different. So obviously Kentucky does, it's called a Kentucky Bourbon Mule. Most places are vodka. Jack Morgan invented it in 1940s to help out his buddy who had, for some dumb reason, made copper mugs and had nothing to put them in. And then his other friend had ginger beer. And so they put the two together, put it in a copper mug, and that's the history of a Moscow Mule. Was basically invented. And there's different versions. Mexican mule is made with tequila. Jamaican mule is made with rum. And then you got whiskey, you got bourbon.
What's a Canadian mule?
What about gin? What
So-
about for our gin lovers? Is there a gin mule?
You could. I've never heard of that, but hey,
Well,
You can
they
make a-
are
make
sort of
one
up
with
there.
just. So the popular ones that Jim Beam, Maker's Mark, Bullet, those are most of the restaurants, according to the sheets that I printed out. Those are the 3 main bourbons that they use to make mules with in Kentucky. There's different versions. They muddle limes. The second generation of a Kentucky Mule, they add mint sprigs to it, and they muddle a mint sprig, and then they add ice cubes to it. So again, it's create what you want. Another recipe I have in front of me, they said they rub mint sprigs together over the ice. But again, it's however you want to make your mule. I mean, I'm not saying there's a rule to make a mule. Do whatever you want to make a mule. I mean, I'm sure you can do a Bloody Mary mule if you wanted to. Instead of ginger beer, add Bloody Mary mix. It's however you want to make it.
It does not sound appetizing.
Oh, yeah, add some bacon to it. It'd be great.
Well, bacon makes everything great.
Yes, it does.
This is not my favorite. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, this one hikes to bourbon. I can't taste any bourbon in this whatsoever. All I taste is ginger beer and lime. But I guess it does the effect. After about 4 of these, you're going to realize you've had 4.
I could drink one. I could drink more of Manhattans than old fashions. This might be a one and done.
Yeah, I think vodka goes better with the mule, with the ginger beer pairing, the original way. It's something different. This is newer, and they started taking off the bourbon craze. I really think muddling a lime. I'm a big fan of muddling when it comes to most fruit. It gets those fibers in there. It gets that pulp in there. It kind of gives the drink just a little more depth, a different component to it. I think that goes a long way. But sorry.
No,
I hate muddle.
I know you do.
I'm anti-muddle.
Well, we have yin and yang right here in outside outside Kentucky.
Yeah, makes it perfect.
No, it's
And this is also a bigger drink to get down to. I know that I'm not going to sit here and ask you to chug these, and we go to the next one, which is a bourbon neat, or if you choose it on ice. But the last one is just, again.
But wait, there's more. So hold on.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Now, everybody's had like 2.5 drinks, right? So I can tell you it's a joke. So a drunk orders a shot of wild whiskey. Sorry, sir, we don't have wild turkey. Oh, wait. A drunk orders a shot of wild turkey. Sorry, that was a mistake. Sorry. Whew. Sorry, sir, we don't have wild turkey, only a house bourbon. What can I get you? I'll have a shot of wild turkey. I'm so sorry, sir, we just ran out. How about a Jack Daniels? I'll have a shot of wild turkey. Okay, sir, if you can spell wild turkey, I'll give you a shot. WILDTURKEY, wild turkey. Sir, you forgot the F. There's no F in wild turkey. That's what I've been trying to tell you.
It took me a second. I got it. That was. Better pronounce that out.
Thanks, Rob.
No. F and
I get it now. I get it now.
Now you get
you
it?
don't have to act.
Okay, I'm not. I got it. Just leave me alone. I'm gonna leave. God.
That's right.
Anyways, so if anybody has any cheese left, the pepper jack preferably,
I'll take it.
go ahead and eat a hefty piece of that so you can clear it up when we get to the neat.
Well, I'm not there yet.
Well, chug, Libby. We talked about this. We timed you earlier.
Oh no, happy hour runs out in 2 minutes. Yeah, you got to chug.
Yeah, you got to chug.
So there's some questions to just let you know. What about everybody's liking the hummus? And is it available for takeout?
It can be.
Yeah, there's always a price, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, this is really, really good hummus. So we've had a couple of requests for that.
We have on our menu, we have a vegetarian hummus wrap with black beans. So we take a tortilla shell and we cover it in the hummus, and we add black beans and arugula and a couple other secret ingredients I won't name out loud. But yeah, we always have hummus available. So if you're dying for some hummus and some crackers and some meat, yeah, absolutely. I'll never say no if I have it in the building.
Right.
And the hummus, we make that basically every day or every other day. So it's not, we don't buy it out of a can. It's made in-house. And it goes great with bourbon.
I'm going to go over to Matt. Tell us your story that we did not get to.
So I can't certify its truth, but I was in Lexington, and my brother-in-law who lives there and is a big bourbon fan, he said the kind of founder, the father of bourbon is Elijah Craig, and he was a moonshiner. And these guys from New Orleans came up and they drank his whiskey and his liquor and they loved it. And they said, "This is amazing. Can you send us some down to New Orleans?" And so he was trying to find a barrel, and all he had was an old fish barrel. And so he took a torch and charred out the inside of an old fish barrel and then filled it with his whiskey. And then when it got down to New Orleans, it had imparted all of that charred white oak flavor. And that was kind of the birth of bourbon.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to piggyback off that because I'd come across a story earlier today as well, where if you've heard of Jefferson's, the dude Jefferson's, Manhattan, Ocean, all that, it was about 2 to 4 years ago, the owner had this theory, because one of the prominent theories is that why bourbon's better in Kentucky is this iron-free water because it runs through the limestone and the natural springs, and it just filters out all the bad of the water. And that's why it's so much better to make it in Kentucky versus anywhere else. But about 2 to 4 years ago, he had this theory of, back when they made the process a long time ago, it was making these long trips down the Mississippi and stuff like that. And he thought there may be something that was being lost in the process of now just sticking them in warehouses. So he actually made, I think, 4 barrels or 3 barrels, but he took 2, put them on the river, North Kentucky, put them on the Ohio River, and sent them down the Mississippi all the way through the Louisiana port, and then back up around Florida, up the Atlantic, and arrived in New York City. And when it arrived in New York City, he came with the exact same batch barrel that was just stayed in Louisville, Kentucky the whole time. And they tasted them, and they said the one that had traveled on the waterways was way better. They actually did like the scientific composition breakdown based on the molecules and stuff. And they were 2 completely different bourbons at that point. And what they theorize then is it's that gentle sloshing of the travel down the river and back up in that time and going through the different climates really caused the wood to interact differently with the bourbon during the process of it. So that's where you're seeing like Jefferson's Ocean, that whole concept came from. Now they send their barrels out to sea. That's why it's the ocean. And that supposedly would make it even better by being able to, gently, gradually move. It's not looking for raging seas on these giant barges. It's barely any movement, but it just helps the bourbon move around in the barrels a little more and really absorb that flavor from the wood versus just sitting in, a warehouse.
I didn't know the story about that. I've had Ocean, so that's
It's
really
delicious.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. Yeah, I mean, when I grew up, then I started liking my bourbon a little more neat, or maybe with a little bit of ice. But yeah, that's good. When everybody gets to be my age, yeah, you're not there yet. You'll do that, perhaps.
You don't look at Libby.
Yeah, that's filter. So one of the things I'd like to do is just go around the horn and ask people what their favorite bourbon is that they've had. So I'm going to start with AC because you're my top left. So AC, what's your favorite bourbon?
Oh, that's a tough one. I always like
2.
Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
It's hard to find.
It is. It is. So you're not going to stand for 3 hours in the line to Kroger to make sure they have it?
I have not yet, no.
Yeah, I'm not doing that either.
No.
Okay, what's your second favorite?
Probably Woodford Reserve.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. How about you, Julie Biddle?
I'm typically a bourbon cocktail drinker. And not like these great neat cocktails. I wouldn't call them neat, but they're neat to me in my bourbon drinking. But yeah, I typically go with Bullet. Bullet's always a good one because it's a little bit cheaper, less expensive. So when you're mixing it with fruit juice and stuff like that,
Right.
it works really well. So I'll typically go there, but I am a huge Watershed fan. I love all things Watershed and their whole company. I just love them. So if I'm going to splurge, that's the good one.
And there may be something coming out of Heritage Golf Club with Watershed. So that's,
Yeah, I'm going to have Tommy up on Friday the 12th. I believe he's going to be giving out some free samples of Watershed bourbon just to the members. Just they're trying to push that brand a lot. I think we might end up putting it in our well now that we have almost got rid of all of that Weller's Green. We may be switching our well bourbon over to Watershed for the time being. Just obviously like to stay local as possible. So
Yeah, and they went from a 5 grain to a 3 grain. So to me, Watershed back in the day was a little harsh. Now they went down to a 3 grain. I had it and it was
what
completely
does that
different.
mean? What does that mean?
so instead of 5 different, like I said, for bourbon, it has to be 51% corn.
Right.
But then the other 49% is made up of different grains, malt, barley, depending on what they're using. They were using 5 different grains before. So at least 51% corn, 4 others that comprise the other 49%. They switched it down to just the 3 grains now. So a little simpler, but I agree with him. I was not a fan of their bourbon, to be honest. I tried to be. As a Columbus company, I wanted to like it, and I didn't love it. This new one that they brought in, it's a lot better. I want to say it's batch 111, right?
It's 101 101 above will be the 3 grain. Anything below 101 will be is still the 5
grain.
So,
But-
and one nice thing about this is that Tommy Householder used to work for Heritage Golf Club, now he works for Watershed. There's a carriage there, so that's going to be a really good partnership. So that I look forward to that. Okay, thanks, Jules. And now you like Basil Hayden too, so
I think it's really smooth. It's really good. I think I could drink this one neat. It's really good.
you can. You can do that. I'm going to
I'll start schooling.
Stacey
I might-
Ratterman,
And a little bit later, after all the other cocktails have simmered a little bit.
and your children are in bed. Exactly.
Yes, exactly. That's
Stacey-
the other part.
Stacey, what's your favorite bourbons?
Favorite bourbons? Whatever I get poured at Heritage. I mean, for real, or this, right? This counts. Fireball.
Oh, Fireball.
I'm kidding. Somebody had a work comment over here, so we had to do a shot of Fireball. Sorry, everyone.
Okay, we
Wait,
need
I
your
got-
address.
Oh, I've got her number. Trust me.
But thank you, everyone. I think we are going to head off. So thank
Right.
you guys, Mike and everybody. This was wonderful again. We'll talk to everybody soon.
Okay, and enjoy the rest of your evening, Stace.
We will. And everyone says thanks and bye. The drinks were wonderful tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Go BG.
Okay, so Amy is my counterpart. She and I are in the chamber world together. She was the CEO of the Circleville, but it's not really Circleville. What's the county?
Pickaway.
Oh, Pickaway County. So that's how we got to know each other. Now she's into another position at a different firm. She's no longer in chamber world, but one of my really good chamber people. So Amy, tell us about your bourbons.
I'm gonna say my favorite is probably Woodford, and
Yeah.
my second is Basil Hayden. But I'm like everybody else, whatever you can make a good Manhattan or old fashioned with, I'm down with it. And I did try Mike's recommendation of Redemption.
What'd you think?
I thought it was fantastic. I've made one drink with the double oaked Woodford and one drink with the Redemption, and I thought it was fabulous. So I enjoyed them both.
Awesome.
Mike has great recommendations. So I'm glad you enjoyed them both. That's
I
good.
did. Thank you.
I get to
Yes.
try them all, so it's a fun job.
I bet it is.
Hello. Mark, what about you? Because you're a connoisseur.
Not a connoisseur, but I'd say if I want something high proof, I like Noah's Mill. And then Woodenville.
What was the second?
Woodenville.
I don't know.
We
that
just
one.
got that in yesterday.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we got Woodenville in yesterday.
I don't know either of those.
Really
Wow.
good stuff.
Check it
Yeah,
out.
it's very oaky.
So Mark, where is your bourbon bar?
It's
Oh, glory.
there and overflow over there. So,
It has
Everybody
two
needs a plus
locations.
one. Well, thanks.
It's
Thanks for
so
showing us.
Mark is my neighbor, and we had a competition. If we were going to have that big snowstorm here 2 weeks ago, we were going to meet in the middle of our roads and exchange. He was going to bring the glasses, and I was going to bring the bourbon, and we were going to clear out the road for Hilliard.
That's what I love about River Landings. My son lives there. I don't, but I could come over and be there. Just saying, if you ever need a plus one, I'm there.
I can walk to River Landings as well, by the way.
Yeah, Matt could, exactly. He's on the river.
Rick is crawling back home.
Cemetery and Dublin Road.
That's hilarious. Okay, so Matt, what's your favorite bourbons?
I don't know. I'm really struggling with that. So I don't do a lot of bourbon mixes, but if I'm gonna mix, Basil Hayden, Buffalo Trace, and Bullet. I love those. Are all great bourbons, and if you're gonna mix that, something kind of it might kind of neat or typically I do a rocks. I really love the Weller Green, and then I'm a huge rye fan. Which isn't technically bourbon. So Angel's Envy rye is really good. It's kind of sweet, mapley, and that Willet rye that I showed you guys before. So that's kind of my higher end stuff.
Gotcha.
If you ever get a chance to, if you ever see a bottle on a shelf, it's called Lip Service.
Okay.
That's a phenomenal rye. The marketing, whoever came up with the marketing for it, they shouldn't have a job. It's probably the worst labeling for a bottle on the planet. But the rye is out of this world, and it's literally a lady pulling her lip forward, and it says rye on her lip.
Or lip service.
Lip
called
service
Lip
rye.
Service.
All right, man. I'm gonna hunt for it.
And
But
it's a
what's-
matted bottle. It's all black matted. It's a really cool looking bottle, except for the lip part I don't get, but that is probably one of the best ryes I've had in a long time, and it's very,
Talk
very good.
about the flaming chair too.
And then the same company has a flaming chair bourbon, burning chair bourbon, and it's just a chair on fire. I'm like, somebody obviously wasn't very smart when they came up with the logos and stuff. But that
I
bourbon,
think it's on point. I think that's on point.
well, yeah, we're talking about it, so I guess it did work. Darn it. But that's another one. It's a rare one to find, but if you do see it, grab it. It's a really good bourbon. I think that's the only two that I'm aware of that's made by that company. I'm sure there's more. We just don't get it in Ohio.
Okay, Whitney, you're up next.
So I've been drinking Russell's, which I really like, and then Watershed was before that, and then Angel's Envy I really like. So I also want to say hello to AC. Our sons played baseball probably 15 years ago, and I haven't seen him for a long time. Good to see you, AC.
The chamber brings people together. This is our mission. So that's great.
Good to see you, Whitney.
Hey, Rita. Fire trucks are coming over to 3584 Dockside Court. Is the house on fire?
Oh my goodness, Mike.
They heard you had bourbon, Mike. They're all coming.
Yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, no kidding. That's our neighbor's house.
Whitney, I agree with you about Angel's Envy too.
Oh,
I have some at home. I mean,
Yeah, you weren't on mute.
yeah, no. Yeah. Note yourself.
What's
But,
cool
okay.
about what's cool about Angel's Envy is that the master distiller of Woodford was like, hey, I want to start, doing the 2 years in a white oak barrel, and then I want to move it to sherry casks or Cabernet casks to give some sweetness and flavor. And Woodford's like, that's not how you make bourbon. And the guy was like, fine. And he leaves and he goes and starts his own distillery, which is Angel's Envy, and started doing clever, creative stuff. Yep.
I didn't know that.
They're in Indiana. They're the biggest non-Kentucky. I think it's MPG or SPG. I think is the ownership group that owns a bunch of them. But yeah, Angel's Envy is like the flagship as far as what's coming out. But they're the most successful non-Kentucky distillery that exists by far.
I did not know they were in Indiana. I love the bottle and the black wings in the back. I love their bottles.
They have a distillery in Lexington, but are they based out of Indiana? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It's I'd have to double check it here. I can't remember. It's 3 letters. I can't remember the name of it.
All right.
While you're thinking, Drew, we're gonna move over to Pat. Our newest board member for the chamber. I hope I have not maybe that's why I got I'm gonna not be part of the chamber.
I want to preface this. So the best bourbon I've ever had, I want to make sure that people know that I did not pay for this, but Pappy Van Winkle was absolutely amazing. I don't know what it cost. It was like $1,000 or whatever the heck it was. But it was fantastic.
$80 an ounce at Hyde Park.
Yeah, I've only had that one time. Another one that I've had I've never seen anywhere else is Kentucky Owl.
I have
don't know
that.
if anybody else has had that.
Yeah, it's confiscated. Kentucky Owl confiscated bourbon. We have that at the club.
Do you?
Yeah, there's 2 different versions. There's one version where the cheapest I've ever seen is like $120, and there's another one that's $240 a bottle. And for some reason, Ohio, from the liquor store we ordered online, I can get either one of them.
Huh.
But I can't get Blanton's, which is $42 bottle of junk in a bottle. Just weird.
Ed, stop that right now.
I didn't say junk. I meant it's not very good.
Pat and Michael, in Lexington Sunday, my honey hole where I get my bourbon, they had a Kentucky Owl, $250 bottle. I was just like, I can't justify. I mean, I got a nice collection, but I've probably never spent more than $100 on any bottle in it.
Have you ever had it?
No. Is it amazing?
No, come to the club and I'll pour you a 1 ounce pour and you change your mind.
Really?
Good.
Lexington will get
Okay, everybody, thumbs up for that.
Wait, just him.
Oh, any day
Yes,
but
on
Monday? Was that the invitation? Any day but Monday?
Yeah, any day but Monday. And then also the state of Ohio just let Buckner's bourbon come to Ohio, and it's never been here before. It's being released next week. The wholesale cost is $188 a bottle. So for you to go to the store, it's probably gonna be about $210, $220 a bottle. But it's never been in Ohio before. So be on the lookout for Buckner. It's 13-year aged oak. Heidelberg Distilling are the ones that are allocating it coming to Ohio. They pushed for it, so it's going to go to the state stores. You'll probably see it around Wednesday or Thursday. If I promise you, no one really knows this bourbon because it's not been here before. The website's very vague. So on Wednesday, most of these liquor stores get them around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. If you're willing to spend that kind of money on that bourbon, I highly suggest please do it. It is a very good bourbon. I've had a 2-ounce pour of it when we were in Kentucky, and I about fell out of my chair, and I've never seen it since. But now it's coming. If you want to spend it, I would be at a liquor store around 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning when it hits the shelves, because I guarantee
You have to be there at 7 a.m.
Yeah, but if you don't
cannot
know
be there
it's
at 9.
coming,
What's it called,
If you don't-
Michael?
what's that?
What's it called?
It's called Buckner's.
Buckner's.
Buckner? Buckner's?
Yep. If you,
I can spell.
Libby, I'll send you the pamphlet to it that I have, and you can, if you want to send it off to these
Yeah,
guys, you're more
for
than welcome to. And it
Yeah.
gives the history behind it. It's a
Hey,
very
Mike.
distinctive distillery.
Mike, didn't you say you could buy it for us if we want it?
No, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to do that. That's the only thing I can't do. I can do wine and beer, but gotta love the state of Ohio. I can't. That's the only thing I cannot do, unfortunately.
So I asked Lily to give me sharing capabilities. I just want to show you guys something real quick. If you go to Ohio Liquor Control at 4:30 in the morning, every morning, then they tell you where all of the good bourbons are, and you have to go to this little search box. And so let's just do Blanton's. I know it's overrated, but it's amazing and hard to find. So we do Blanton's, and it'll tell you exactly who got Blanton's this morning. And it looks like nobody, right? Let's do Taylor. Let's see if anyone got, E.H. Taylor. Probably not. That's a pretty hard one to get. Give me another one that you guys are interested in, like just hard to find bourbon.
We'll do like Weller Green.
Throw
They put
Weller
it out.
Green in there just because
Weller's a little bit more common. Oh,
They
that's
put it
right.
out every week.
Yeah, Weller 12 is not going to happen, but like the Kroger in Hilliard had 6 bottles of Blanton's last Wednesday.
Right,
Which
we
lasted
have 2
2
in
seconds.
Hilliard because Hilliard has special. So we're talking Cemetery or Hilliard Realm.
Cemetery.
And you got to go at lunch when somebody's covering and they don't know that there's a 1 bottle limit.
Thank you, Rob. Yes.
Yeah.
Here's Weller Green. So, like my Kroger, Kroger, I think Cemetery gets them on Wednesday. There
They
you go.
put them out Wednesday. Yeah.
Hilliard Rome might get them on Thursday, but so this morning, Hilliard Rome probably got some Weller, and if you got there an hour before opening, or you could look at Blanton's. So I just want to give you guys this heads up. Ohio LQ, ohlq.com, and you can put in whatever bourbon you're looking for, and it'll tell you where they came in Columbus. And as long as you get there an hour before opening and get in line, you can have any
Not
bottle
an
of
hour.
bourbon.
Not an hour. It's more than an hour. 2 hours. People.
Depends on the store and depends on the bourbon. Yes, if they get
Yeah.
Blanton's, maybe an hour and a half. But
Yeah,
Weller's
Great.
easy to get. Let's do like Buffalo Trace real quick, and I'm done.
So Buckner's Bourbon, have you heard of Augusta Distillery?
Uh-uh.
No.
No, that's who distills the Buckner's. I just sent the link to Libby.
Wait, who does that?
I just sent you a link.
I understand, but who distills it?
Augusta Distillery.
Okay. All right.
It's 123.2 proof.
Buckner.
I surrender.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not coming up here, so maybe it's
You missed the N. You got Bucker.
Buckner's.
NER.
Oh, you mean like Bill Buckner, the guy who let the ball go under his
Yeah. Yep.
Stop right now. Stop.
That poor guy.
I was in Kenmore Square in Boston my freshman year in college when that happened.
Okay,
Cool.
so we're gonna move to Pat Schmidt, our newest board member for the Hilliard Chamber. What are your favorite bourbons?
I love it how we're coming back to me. I know Libby's had a few drinks.
Stop it. Oh, you stop it right now.
No one's mentioned Whistle Pig. I've only had it. I had a bottle of that. I kind of like that barbecue. Yeah. Now I always look at bourbon a little different. Like you're drinking for quality or quantity. I'm a Makers and ginger ale guy if it's a football Saturday and I'm just looking to drink all day.
Get it done.
True.
Yeah, if you're gonna go all day, start in the morning. So good for you.
Yeah, but quality. I like the Whistle Pig. I've really kind of turned on to Bullet and Elijah Craig, or a couple that I like too.
Have you tried the
Very-
new Elijah Craig toasted barrel? It's something new.
No.
Good luck trying to find it. We had one bottle that lasted like a day. But it's something they rolled out at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And the toasted barrels is really, it's a difficult bottle to find, but if you do find one, I highly suggest it because it's got like that burnt oaky, like you got oak, but then you got like a burnt oak flavor to it. And I loved it. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Not seen a bottle since.
Hey, can we pour our neat yet? Can we?
You go ahead, pour what you want.
Hey, I got to scoot, guys. This is awesome. I can't wait till the next time. And I can't wait till we can do this all at Libby's house.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm in Kentucky. Remember that.
True.
I'm in
All right,
Kentucky.
well,
Yeah,
Kentucky Hilliard.
fine. You guys can come here.
Hill Billiard. There we go.
Kentucky.
So, so Jill Gershuts, what's your favorite bourbon?
Yeah, gin
She's
bourbon.
shaking her head.
I don't know. Ask me in like 6 months. Matt did send me a message. I'm going to get a bottle of this Angel's Envy and
Oh yeah,
we'll see where it goes.
but and the bottle is so phenomenal with the black wings on the back. It's a really good bottle.
It's funny because Tony, for my husband, for the longest time, he would get from different vendors during the holidays bottles of whiskey. And I'm like, you have got to let them know we don't drink whiskey. We're gin drinkers. Well, they finally caught on and we do get nice bottles of gin. But anyway, so we have quite a few bottles of whiskey or bourbon, whiskey, all kinds of different stuff.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Any of it. So when people come, we're like, do you like bourbon? Great, we're going to pour you something. So we always have it on hand for our friends. So they enjoy coming over. Neighbors enjoy it when we're out on the porch and we're like, oh, let us pour you something. So
And you're pouring like a 20-year pap. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, I'm coming to your
Have
house.
some of this.
I know. Yeah. I don't care. So.
Well, Jill, just FYI for you. So you have new neighbors, Christy Bauer.
Yes, I know Christy. She and I are friends.
Yeah, they just moved into your neighborhood.
They did like 2 weeks ago. I just saw her last week.
Yeah, they did. So, and her husband, I absolutely adore because when I was on school board, he was our basketball coach for one of the high schools, but yeah.
And he's the golf coach now. Is that correct for Darby?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mentioned a bit to her. So, okay, who has not spoken? Rob Crockett. Tell me about your bourbons.
My two favorite are Weller Green and Buffalo Trace.
So
Lucky enough that
how often
Yeah,
have you gotten Buffalo Trace? Because I can't find it.
I have about 6 right now, luckily.
Okay.
My brother just went to Louisville and he asked me on the way home, what should I get you? I said, look for Weller Green or Buffalo. And the Weller Green was like $56 down there.
Are you kidding me?
No. And so I said, well, what's the Buffalo? And he said, 27. I said, that's the same as here, but I can't, they don't have it all the time. So bring me that.
One downside to not be in a control state.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he brought me Eagle Rare. So that was good.
Oh, good for you.
But yeah, Weller, I live I'm in Hoffman Farms. So the Giant Eagle right here at Cosgray has Weller every Saturday morning.
Yeah, that's the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really have a good selection over there from what I've heard. I mean, people still stand in line with their chairs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's the big crowd there for the 6 bottles of, Whistle Pig or whatever. But then if you come in at 9:30, you can get a bottle or 2 of Weller if you get back in line. So,
So wait, what is the day that they put that out?
they do Saturday mornings.
Oh, Saturday morning. Okay.
Yeah, Kroger Cemetery is Wednesday mornings. But,
Oh,
The Giant Eagle on Britain Parkway does a Saturday morning as well.
Wait, I need to write this down.
Yeah.
But I'm usually in Hocking County. Okay, so what during the week? What?
Wednesday is Kroger Cemetery, and I assume Kroger Hilliard Rome, but I don't know.
No, they're different. They are different.
They're different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Kroger Cemetery. Is Wednesdays at 9. And if you go at lunch, somebody's covering. They say, yeah, you can have 2, if they still have whatever.
I love my Kroger Cemetery. Those are my jam. They're my jam.
But the Giant Eagle is Saturday morning.
Okay, well, not here.
Michael, Drew, I don't remember, like this bourbon craze feels like it was in the last 5-10 years. What do you attribute to that? Or is it just me and
no,
I got more friends that I know drink?
You're
To
right.
me, it's the internet. I think that, people having these chat groups on Facebook, and, I think the generational, the difference between the generations is that they're tired of craft beer was huge. I think craft beer is starting to take a downturn, and all of a sudden they're like, what do we do now? Now they're going to bourbon, and they're buying up all the good stuff. So people like me that's been drinking the good stuff forever, I can't find it. So it's forcing me to buy something else. And now I'm trying all these different bourbons. So thank God they bought all the good stuff, because now I'm able to try different things or have different things at the club that I never would have thought of before, because I'm going online and looking at all these bourbons. I'm like, who the hell is this? I've never heard of this company before. So we
Right.
buy it, we bring it in, and there's some really good, like Russell's Reserve. Yes, it's a phenomenal bourbon. Would I have ever had it at the club? No. I've got it. It's amazing. Noble Oak. That's another phenomenal bourbon. Hudson 4-grain bourbon. That's a newer one at the club for us. It's a 4-grain bourbon. It's absolutely phenomenal. You can find it on the shelf everywhere. New Riff is another one. It's a new distillery out of Kentucky. New Riff, single barrel, and the rye are out of this world. It's priced pretty damn good. It's like $26, $27 for a bottle. The single barrel is $42. They're really good bourbons. And if it wasn't for me not finding Blanton's and Buffalo Trace and Angel's Envy, I never would have thought of those places. So, you give it another year or two, I think Blanton's will be, back on the shelves, and we're going to be talking about New Riff, and we can't find 4 Hudsons anymore.
And a big part of it, I know I was looking up earlier, I want to say it was either the market cap or the export cap. I can't remember. It broke $1 billion for the first time in like 2013, I want to say. This year, or in 2018, it was 3.6. So you're right. The boom was happening, has been happening. They're tripling. I think part of it is cycles. I've seen cycles with alcohol happen. Vodka was huge there for a while. They wanted to flavor everything, all these different vodka. And society as a whole just kind of moves on different things. Something becomes new. But then with bourbon, when it started to pick up, these guys, they're projecting how much they're going to sell 8 years, 12 years out, because it has to age. They don't have to have near the turnaround like they do on vodka and stuff like that. So now this booms, they're not prepared for, they projected futures, but they didn't project enough. Now it becomes rare. Now that it's rare, people want it even more. It's even more rare. And you can't speed up the aging process. That's one thing you can't do. You can speed up White Claw production. You can speed up seltzer production. Everybody on earth can get on board within a matter of a year if you can just pump it out that quick. Good bourbon takes time no matter what. So here in 6 years or so, we'll probably be all right, because they'll catch up to the demand to a degree. But right now, there's nothing to do but jack the prices up, because it's not like they can make more.
So Pat, they had a really good answer, but I think we're just older and more sophisticated, right? Like, we're not young, not natural light drinkers anymore.
Wait, we're older.
You're not drinking natural light anymore.
Hold on. I'm getting preserved.
Made in
Right.
the USA, we can go down to Kentucky and get it.
We're more sophisticated, is what I
Hey,
said.
so Kevin, we have not reached out to you. What are your favorite bourbons?
Yeah, I've heard Weller talked about, but I haven't heard Weller Red talked about. I think that's one good one I like. And the other one I like, and I kind of get laughed at, but it's easy to find, and I think it's really good, especially as an everyday utility one, is Four Roses. I think it's got a great flavor. Whether you get the select or even if you just get the yellow label, I think it's great.
Good for you.
That's my everyday. If I know I'm going to crush a couple of them and there's no special occasion, or it's just, I'm going to sit there and have a couple, or that's what I go with, is just regular Four Roses. I like the select as well, but for 21 compared to, I think, 34, 36, I'll go the single barrel or the regular all the time, for just to have it on the shelf every day bourbon.
Yeah, the select
I think it's highly underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the select just won more awards than the single barrel did. And the single barrel to me is not as good as the select. I think the select's way better. But a matter of opinion.
But I like Rabbit Hole. Nobody's ever mentioned that. I like Rabbit Hole, not the rye, but just the regular bourbon, red label. I mean, I went down the rabbit hole. It's really good. I like it.
Yeah, like when we go online to the state liquor store and we type in whiskey/bourbon American, there's up to 21 pages now. And there are 14 bourbons per page that you're clicking through. And I mean, it's just getting to the point where every day something is being added. I mean, Matthew McConaughey, for crying out loud, has got his own bourbon now. It's called
Wait.
Long Branch, and it tastes like ass. I'm sorry, it's horrible.
It's called a mule, not an ass.
But it's not very good. But
Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Drew.
Wild Turkey gave Matthew McConaughey a freaking bourbon, and I'm like, why?
But there's a lot of pot in it. It's gotta
Well,
be
then
made
you
with
got
pot.
John Wayne, the Duke, is out. If you ever find that, get it, because it burns and you'll fill it 2 days later. Just like John Wayne, I guess. But it was his dad's recipe, and it's called the Duke. And if you see it, grab one, because it's a great talking piece about John Wayne and his dad. But then again, that literally, I drank that, and it like 2 days later, I'm like, my stomach still hurt.
What is the distillery for that? I mean, who makes that?
I don't think I've ever wanted to research that much into it. But it's like a $30 bottle of bourbon. It's got John Wayne's name on it. I mean, who doesn't want something like that? Who's John Wayne?
The Duke.
Oh, that's right. Never mind. He doesn't know who the hell he is.
I'm a man. I'm 30.
I don't even want to talk to you now. I don't even want to talk to you. Well, this has been delightful. Thank you so much for doing this for us. Heritage Golf Club is phenomenal for us.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.
So don't be shy to be a social member of this, because they have all these great opportunities as well. But the area Chamber of Commerce also has great opportunities. So thank you for being part of our evening tonight. And we will probably do something in March. We're talking with Mike about what we can do then. So don't be shy if you want to be part of our exclusive club. So
yeah, anytime you guys if you're not a member, if you want to come in there and try a bourbon, and just Steve's our member director. Just come there and ask for me. I'd be more than happy to give you a tour. And I love bragging about our beer, our wine, and our bourbon. I have 2 beers that are made just for Heritage, and it's called Mike's Hazy IPA and Mike's Lager.
and it's all about Mike. It's all about Mike.
It's all about me. But I love my beer. I love my wine. I love my bourbon. Please come in, stop by. I'll buy you a drink. We'll talk. Maybe I can get you hooked and become a social. Or if you don't know how to golf, I suck at it. Become a golf member. We can both suck together at it. But the
are we going to get something about the social membership? I assume.
Yeah, Mike, one question if you got a second.
They will send it to me and I will forward it out.
Okay, I assume so, but yeah.
Yeah, I like your assume though, Rob. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
My emails on the bottom.
Of me all the time.
Me and Drew's emails are at the bottom of your recipe cards that we gave you. Just send us an email if you're inquiring. Set up a date and a time. Pop on in. We'll make you a drink and we'll talk about the place.
But always say that the Hilliard Chamber referred you. Just saying.
I say that everywhere I go.
Libby gets a bottle of Oak Crow for every referral.
But every time I walk into a bar, they keep saying I don't need to tell them that, but I just sit down.
And
the chamber.
And then she takes off a week being sick.
Well then, let me just put that. Yeah. No. I must have gotten fired because I got my papers. So we're good.
Yeah.
Oops.
So, yeah. Well, thank you all for participating. We appreciate your being here with us, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Libby.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
See ya, buddy.
Have a good night.
Hey, Mike, you got a quick second?
Yeah.
Can you give me your opinion on Bookers?
Wow, which one are you looking at? Is it called the Last Barrel?
Small batch. Collector's bottle, 2018-03.
Does it have a B on it with the letters or with the numbers?
Hold on a second here. See if I can figure out.
Oh, look at that. That's fancy.
Does that help there? Yeah. Let me see if I can get. I can't find anything really about it. If it was given.
Booker's has what they call the last bottle of a barrel, and they don't.
Okay.
So when you get the little wooden box and you get that little plexiglass
Yeah,
slide that goes
he's got
up.
it. He's got it.
They don't advertise that that's the last bottle. They just mix it in with everything else. So if you get one that has a B with the letters attached to it, you got a very rare Booker's, and I would not open it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I haven't, and I've never had it, but it was given to me as a gift.
I would keep it. I would not touch that until you have you turn 110.
Right. Or Kevin, unless you have Mike and myself over.
Yeah, well, even at that, we can figure out something else I have here that you guys can have, but we'll stare at this longingly.
Yeah, hold on to that bottle. That bottle's very rare. You're lucky to have that.
Okay, well, great. That's just what I was curious about, because like I said, I've never had it, and it was given to me, and I was like, huh, this is really nice.
Yeah, those are rare to find, and if you do have one, just hold on to it for dear life, because I tell you what, you give it another 10 years, God forbid, don't sell it. But I mean, if you could, you would be able to sell that bottle for over $500 just for a bottle that if you wanted to, or be able to brag that you have one, and everybody would be jealous.
Kevin, how did you acquire
Okay.
that?
The company that I used to work for, that was my going away present.
What company was that?
It's out of Dublin. It's the Case Bowen Company, Jim Case and Bob Bowen. They own a small real estate company. I worked there for 15 years, and then moved on to greener pastures. And on my last day, that was my going away gift.
Can you get rehired and quit the next day and get another bottle?
So where do you work now, Kevin? Where do you work now?
I work for Colliers.
Oh, yeah,
It's a large real estate company. I'm sure you've seen their signs all over town. They're a pretty big company. So
My neighbor across the
yeah,
street.
I moved into more of a. Who's
Go
that?
ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I moved into more of a commercial real estate role there, just because opportunities were greater. So Jim and Bob helped me get into that firm, and it's worked out great.
Perfect. Yeah, when I lived in the High Point subdivision of Hilliard, my neighbor across the street neighbors was with Colliers. I don't know if he still is or not, but yeah, that's great.
What's his name?
Congratulations. I'm trying to think of that. I know their son's name is Zane. He's probably in his late 20s by now. I can't tell you their name. I'll think about it. I'll get
If you
back
think
to you on
about
that.
it, email me.
I will, for sure.
Yeah, because it is a big company. There are quite a few people there, but it seems like it's got a lot of longevity. There's a lot of people that have been there a long time. So
yeah.
anyway, well, hey, thanks for the evening. This was great. Appreciate it, Mike. I will stop in. You got a lot of great knowledge, and your recommendations have been awesome. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pop in, let's have a bourbon neat.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, yeah. I'm in Kentucky, but I might be in Hilliard in a second.
Yeah, we're my
Time
brother-in-law
travel.
lives within walking distance of the liquor barn in Lexington. So my connection hookup is pretty much all I got to do is give him a phone call. And I laugh because you're talking about how hard it is to get Buffalo Trace.
Kentucky is pretty cool.
Look,
You can walk into
Hilliard.
a
We
liquor
met.
barn and get Buffalo Trace in a heartbeat. So that's pretty good, Drew. That's a hell of a travel right there.
Yeah, I'm quick. One life, man. June 6'5". It pays off.
Time travel.
Pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for being a participant with us. We appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kev.
Yeah, we'll talk to you.
All right. See ya. Bye.